The sun hadn't yet risen when Veer's alarm buzzed for the 5th time. He reached out, turned it off, and stared at the cracked ceiling of the one-room house he shared with his mother. She was already up, quietly boiling water for tea, trying not to wake him. But he was never really asleep anymore. He got up, washed his face, packed his bag, and left without a word. Every morning was like this. Quiet, heavy, routine. Outside, the world looked the same, but Veer didn't. At 17, he looked much older, not because of his face, but because of what he carried inside. His father had passed away 2 years ago, a factory accident. Compensation came late and small. His mother had taken up stitching, sometimes working until her fingers bled, and Veer had taken up silence. He wasn't brilliant in school. He wasn't a topper, but he was consistent. He never missed a class, never made excuses. His teachers noticed, but no one really said much, until one day, his math teacher stopped him after class. "Veer, are you preparing for entrance exams?" the teacher asked. "No, sir," he replied, eyes down. "Why not?" Veer hesitated, then said softly, "We can't afford the coaching." The teacher nodded. "Come tomorrow. I'll coach you for free, but only if you're serious." Veer didn't respond with words. He just showed up, every day, on time, with questions, with hunger, not for food but for change. He started studying under streetlights when power failed. He used library books when he couldn't afford guides. His classmates laughed at his torn shoes, his patch bag, the way he never joined group outings or bought snacks during breaks. But Veer never reacted, not because he didn't feel it, but because he didn't have time for anything that didn't bring him closer to his goal. He had one, just one, dream, to become an engineer, not to build machines, but to build dignity back into his family's life, to be able to fix the broken fan without waiting months, to tell his mother, "You can stop working now." That was enough. Months passed. The final board exams came and went. He did well. Not perfect, but well enough. Then came the entrance exam, his real test. That morning, he reached the center an hour early. His hands were cold. His heart beat loud in his ears. He sat quietly near the gate, flipping through his notes, but nothing registered. It wasn't fear of failure. It was fear of letting his mother down. The woman who gave him her portion of rice on nights they had nothing else. The woman who smiled through every storm. Inside the hall, the paper felt like a mountain. But Veer climbed, question by question, one at a time. Some he knew, some he guessed, some he left. But he didn't quit. When the results came, he didn't check them first. He went straight to the school. His math teacher met him in the corridor, eyes shining. "You did it," he said, voice shaking. Veer stood still, not understanding. "You got in, Veer, a government seat, full scholarship." It took Veer a moment to breathe, then another to cry. Not loudly, just quietly, eyes closed, shoulders shaking. His teacher placed a hand on his back and said, "You earned this." "You did." He ran home that day. He never ran before. But that day, he ran through narrow lanes, past tea stalls, past kids playing cricket, past the old temple, straight to his home. His mother was praying when he entered. She looked at him confused as he stood there panting. "I got in," he said, holding the letter. She didn't say anything. She just walked to him, placed her hand on his head, and whispered, "Your father would be proud." University was a different world. English everywhere. Expensive laptops. Cafeterias he couldn't afford. Students who spoke of vacations and internships. For weeks, Veer said nothing, just observed, listened, learned. He sat at the front of every class, borrowed books, took notes, recorded lectures on his cheap phone. At night, while others partied or scrolled, he revised formulas by candlelight. Some seniors mocked him. First bencher, they called him. Scholar boy. But one day, during a campus tech competition, Veer's team prototype won first place. The same seniors now came to him for help. He didn't change. Even after being offered an internship at a major firm, Even after receiving a stipend that covered 3 months of expenses at home, he still wore the same shoes, still ate at the mess, still called his mother every night and told her what he learned. Years later, on his graduation day, Veer was awarded Best Final Year Project and a job offer from a top multinational company. Starting salary, more than his father had earned in 5 years. He walked across the stage in a simple shirt and borrowed blazer. No designer suit, no Instagram celebration. Just a boy who kept showing up. When he reached home that night, he didn't say anything. He just handed his first salary envelope to his mother. She opened it, saw the number, and cried for the first time in years, not from pain, but from pride. She didn't ask how he did it. She knew, because she had seen the sleepless nights, the missed meals, the notebooks soaked with tears, the wounds that never showed on skin but left marks on the soul. Veer didn't win because he was the smartest. He won because he didn't stop, because he didn't wait for motivation. He moved with discipline, because he didn't care how slow he went, as long as he didn't stop. And now, every Sunday, he walks past the same school he once studied in, not as a student, but as a guest lecturer. And when the young ones look up at him and ask, "How did you make it, sir?" he smiles and says, "I wasn't the best. I just didn't quit." Then he looks at the blackboard, the chalk in his hand, and remembers everything. The sweat, the hunger, the nights under the streetlight. And he whispers to himself, as if reminding his past. This is what happens when you keep showing up. Veer's new life didn't start with a ribbon-cutting moment. It began quietly, like all his mornings. He moved into a small rented room close to his office. No fridge, no air conditioning, just a mattress on the floor, a second-hand desk, and a sticky window that barely opened. But it was his. And for the first time in his life, he didn't feel like he was just surviving. He felt like he was building something. Each morning, he walked to work early. Even though he had a company transport pass, he chose to walk, to remind himself where he came from. The world moved fast now, meetings, deadlines, pressure, but he moved with purpose. Calm, quiet, grounded. In the evenings, instead of going out with colleagues, he logged onto a free Zoom link and tutored students who couldn't afford tuition. He didn't advertise it. He didn't post it. He just did it. 1 student, then 5, then 20. One night, a boy named Arif from a village in Bihar told him, "Sir, I only joined because my brother failed 3 times. I wanted to prove we're not a failure family." Veer stared at the screen for a long time, then said slowly, "You're not trying to prove anything. You're building something. Brick by brick. Do it for you." Word spread. Students began calling him the invisible mentor. He didn't care for fame. He cared that they believed in themselves. A year later, Veer's company sent him abroad for a training program. London. He had never even boarded a flight before. His hands trembled as he buckled the seatbelt, but his eyes sparkled. At the airport, while checking his documents, the officer asked, "Purpose of visit?" Veer smiled and said, "To become who I dreamed of years ago." In London, he learned more than just software systems. He learned confidence. He stood in meetings and spoke clearly. He asked questions. He challenged ideas. And when it was his turn to present a new design system, the boardroom went silent. Not because he was loud, but because he spoke with clarity only pain can teach. They promoted him that quarter. He returned home not as the poor boy with a patch bag, but as someone who now sponsored other students' education without telling anyone. He created a scholarship in his father's name, the Anil Singh Grit Grant. No essay, no grades needed. Just one question to apply. What are you willing to sacrifice to chase your dream? And when his mother saw the scholarship poster for the first time, she pressed the paper to her chest and wept. He walked with her back to that small house, now repaired, freshly painted. She made him chai, and they sat in the same spot where he once cried quietly after school. This time he laughed. Years later, he was invited to his old school as chief guest. He walked through the same gates, now with children running up to greet him, holding banners with his name. His old teacher, now retired, waited at the front steps. "You came back," the teacher whispered. Veer hugged him tightly. I never left, he replied. I carried all of you with me. On stage, he looked at the sea of young faces. I wasn't the fastest. I wasn't the smartest. But I was consistent. And sometimes, that's all it takes to change your life. He paused, holding back tears. So, to every boy wearing torn shoes, to every girl studying by candlelight, to every student who walks instead of rides, who reads instead of sleeps, I see you. You don't have to shine today. Just show up, and keep showing up. Thunderous applause. But Veer didn't hear it. He was looking at a boy in the third row. Skinny, eyes bright, bag held tight. A younger version of himself. He smiled, because he knew the story was starting again.